If you're looking to create, grow, and sustain your wealth, download and subscribe to the Pain Points of Wealth podcast at BeBullish.com with Bob, Ryan, and Chris Payne. It's your podcast for market insights, money tips, and real talk on the economy. Download and subscribe at BeBullish.com.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Excuse me, taxi.
Okay, man, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
This is Warrior Wednesday. And Warrior Wednesday, I'm always glad to you have been so moved by this, as am I. My beloved, my wife, Lynn Shaw, who is, by the way, the founder, the director of Lynn's Warriors, lynswarriors.org, and Lynn's Warriors on YouTube, and Lynn's _Warriors on X. Tonight on Warrior Wednesday, we're going to be talking about and confronting a difficult but necessary truth. That's right, social media and gaming platforms that have exposed, and we've talked about this forever, children to unprecedented levels of risk. And by the by, we'll also incorporate what happened with the president last night, what he did when he referenced children and children who have been affected by illegals. And he addressed angel moms this week, and he was absolutely spot on. But digital platforms right now, we are telling you, are engineered to capture attention, to seize and kidnap attention from your children and monetize vulnerability. But you know, there's also another part of the story that we examine honestly and must, rather, over decades. It seems that, and it's true, parenting has shifted from structured authority and the way most of us are used to kind of a permissive accommodation. And in that shift and in that vacuum, big tech moved right in. Remember, despotism loves a vacuum. And the result, by the way, is a generation raised more by algorithms than by parents and boundaries. So right now, without further ado, without further hesitation, without any more interruption, I bring to the microphone, to the speakers, my love, full disclosure, Lynn Shaw from Lynn's Warriors. Good morning, my darling. Welcome to Warrior Wednesday with you.
Good morning, Lionel. I'm also known as Mrs. L.
That's right.
People call me Mrs. L, so let's get that out of the way.
Well, I'm Mr. L.
Well, I want to just say something. I mean it from the bottom of my heart, that you showcase what we are talking about, things about children, online, real-time, safety, big tech, and also on the Cats Roundtable every Sunday morning, the national edition, that we talk about these issues is the single most important thing that we keep raising awareness. I know it sounds simple, but people don't hear or understand a lot of these things going on. So it is such an honor that you give us a platform for this critical and crucial information to get out into the public. We want everybody to be a warrior in their own home.
Well,
and
this
community.
is absolutely
so thank
true. In fact, John Katsimatidis and Margot and everybody here at our mother station, at the mothership on WABC here, even though we are part of a larger national syndication arm, but they have been absolutely steadfast and assiduous in fighting this. Now, let's talk about what's going on. And both of us perused last night's So To, as the cool kids call it. What was your take? And let's kind of weave this in to what the president's done and what needs to be done regarding children and digital predation.
Well, I didn't peruse anything. I was glued to the TV set to age myself, okay? I was completely watching.
The set.
The set.
Did you warm it up?
Listen, I was glued to the TV set because, first of all, number one, I will never comment on anything unless I've actually watched it for myself, hear it for myself, read it for myself, research for myself. I don't want any hearsay, okay? I know you're the lawyer in the family, but I'm always about, if I'm going to comment, and I know a lot of people today will be asking me things about the State of the Union. I want to be prepared. I want to go back a little bit. I watched the ceremony with the angel moms, angel families, really, right? And I know a handful of people that were in that room. And to see President Trump talking to them as a human being, I think our president is at his best when he just talks.
Hear, hear.
Right? Not reading off a paper or a teleprompter. And I know that's part of the whole gig and all that kind of thing. I have seen him in person. I have been with him in person. He is the best off-the-cuff kind of thing. And to see him in the room with those mothers, and there were fathers and other family members when he did in the White House, the ceremony for them. And he has been in contact with these families. This is nothing new. This is nothing PR-y. We know everything's a little show busy. That's the way it goes, everybody. Means so much. The private phone calls, the sending monies, taking care of operations. People don't know really about that side of President Trump, how generous he is with things behind the scenes. And that really warms my heart because he was speaking from the heart. So that was making me feel really good all day as we work on issues with our kids and safety and going into midterms and all this type of thing. And I'm thinking about what's the platform and can we have more child safety and families. And then I watched last night, and it was like, I watched the angel moms, the angel families. I know it was prepared and all that, but I think it was so well done, weaving in the personal stories throughout the couple of hours that this was. I was not bored for a minute, to be honest, and I listened intently. And we need to stay on these platforms of always incorporating, about our children, America first. I'm sorry, I wish we could solve everything across the globe. I'm sure everybody does, right? We have to take care of our own right here in this country. Our children are suffering. Our families are suffering. And so
and that's not an exaggeration. That is how many times, for example, with, and I'm sure you're going to be talking about this, but just because I hear this, I'm privy to this, but in view of the people that you've talked about, the parents in particular who've traveled for this case that's going on in California, this landmark litigation, where it is being alleged that social media platforms, some in particular, are addictive, and they're using almost like a products liability model. But you've talked to these parents, and you've seen how they're at a loss. They're bereft. Explain that.
It's interesting. I don't think I really slept last night, because watching the State of the Union and coming on this esteemed program right now. But I did receive a message, the first thing I saw from a mom, okay, whose daughter, okay, was affected by social media and died, okay. She bought, for the first time, a pill, okay, one pill on Snap. And you know what? It had fentanyl in it.
And what is Snap?
Snapchat.
I'm sorry.
Snapchat,
See, I don't know what the hipsters, I don't know what the kids call it.
It used to be called Snapchat. Now they're calling it Snap.
Okay.
But Snap, was the parent company. Snapchat, where you put something on and it disappears after 10 seconds or something like that.
Yeah, like a life. That disappears.
And this is true. And I might have dozed off for a minute or two, after the State of the Union, but I woke up to this message from this mom. And I'll just leave it at that because I feel the work with survivors of human trafficking, kids, a lot of that's very private. We don't put it online. We don't want the clicks and likes. We could do all that to, get huge numbers. We do not do that at the Warriors. We are to get this message I received was so heartfelt. That makes what we do so worthwhile to educate, to help victims, to empower survivors. It makes me, I don't want to say angry, but I'll say it encourages me to work harder, to train others about all of this. But we are in week 4 of this groundbreaking trial in California, LA Superior Court. It's a big tech trial. It's big tech on trial, okay? And California has very strong laws for product liability, and this case was brought. She's now 20, and it started when she was 15, saying these products, these algorithms that we know, I know nobody wants to hear about it. They might get sick of it. You got to hear about it. The big tech companies, we've got internal memos. We've got CEOs even talking about it. We've got the whistleblowers. these dangerous algorithms, they feed our children content. They feed all of us right now, but right now we're talking about the kids. It's about eyeballs and monetization and getting those ads. It's always money. That is the bottom line. So this young woman now claims that she's addicted to constant scrolling, and it caused her anxiety, and it caused her depression, and it caused mental health. Now, we know we have a well-documented youth mental health crisis in the U.S. We're not talking enough about that. We did a little bit about 2 years ago. It is part of everything going on today. It is, part of that wheel you hear me talk about with all the different spokes. And each spoke is making the wheel go around. So it's the anxiety, the depression, going into the mental health, going into the potential for the vulnerable to be trafficked, right at your own kitchen table. But these brave parents, all of them in L.A. have lost a child, okay, to sextortion.
Let me ask you this.
To cyberbullying.
What do you say?
Drugs online. Let me just finish this.
Okay.
And they use their voices to speak out for those who cannot speak, because they may be in the courtroom, a dozen right now, but there are thousands across the United States, parents, okay, that cannot use their voices, cannot face what happened. Our children, there is a war on for our children, okay, and we have to get big tech, all of the platforms. We have to come to the table. We have to talk about how we're going to solve this. And, yes, we'll have our AI, but we're also going to have protection for kids.
Now what about this? People say, look, it's up to the parents. You can't shut this down. If the parents were more vigilant, if parents did a good job, and the fact that this kid is buying some drug online, you shouldn't be doing that because that's against the law. And you've heard this before. It's a very, very kind of a callous, it's a very, very rough and gruff way. What do you say about that? Or what do you say
first,
to that?
I say, what's wrong with everybody?
Yeah, right.
I say, but I do ask you that 50 times a day. So, listen. We have become in society, I think, and I discuss this with you all, people have become very callous, right? Very me-centered, right? Very, it even goes to holding a door for somebody, getting in an elevator. Do you smile? Do you say good morning? Do you say good night? Just general little things, right? And I noticed the big shift here in New York City, really COVID, that whole period, right? I think that just changed everything. Not only in New York, around the country, right? Around the world, probably. I am tired of blaming parents. We at the Warriors do not blame. We're not judging. It is an overwhelming environment we all live in.
But you've heard it. I want to talk.
I hear it on a daily basis.
I want you to stop right second, Missy. Stop for 1 second. I got to stop this marauding, this steam, this engine here. Stop for a second. We're going to be talking about that. We're also going to be talking about some other things, too, like COSA, the Kids Online Safety Act, what other countries are doing. And also, when we talk about internal memoranda, internal reports, we have people, whistleblowers from within Meta and others that say not only are children affected by this negatively, but they are being targeted deliberately. And that is a $1 million plus smoking gun. We'll talk more about this on the other side of midnight on Warrior Wednesday with Lynn Shaw from Lynn's Warriors, and that's lynswarriors.com. More coming up.
Rural Americans deserve access to the best our nation has to offer, especially when it comes to health care. Across every state and every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families' health. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.